I've tried to intro this a number of times. None of them have seemed to work. So I'm just going to be very blunt, very simple. I'm FalseProof. Welcome to a new series. We're calling it Monthly Experience. It's going to come out every month. And I'm just going to talk about stuff that I experienced within the month that's, cool. Something that I liked, whether it be video games, movies, music, whatever. I figured it's the first episode. Why not explain what the heck is going on and what my goal is with this series? Because it's a little different. It's a little more freeform than what you're probably used to seeing on this channel. So let's dive into it. So Monthly Experience for me sort of accomplishes 3 separate goals I've sort of thought about over the last little while. And I guess a 4th one being able to sort of improvise on the fly, which I'm clearly very good at with all these jump cuts that you're seeing. As I've made content over the years, I felt as though I feel like a little bit of a box, unless it's something close to Jet Set Radio-esque or something like Tony Hawk Pro Skater or an RPG with some sort of zany concept. It just feels like it seems out of place on FalseProof. And I kind of want to change that. I just feel like if I make like a giant 30-minute long video on a game like Days Gone, it's an open world zombie survival game, and I'm going to talk about that in a tiny bit. There's really no sort of segue for somebody who came here as a Jet Set Radio fan to be like, why am I watching this video on like a zombie game when I came here to learn about stylish looking games? This series is good because I can sort of play a game and give my thoughts as it's going on. And then if people are interested, I could maybe do something more long form with that type of content. It allows us all to broaden our horizons. It's very good to learn new things and become a much more rounded person, much more worldly. It's good. And I think just doing like these little mini reviews, it exposes, everybody to something a little new that they wouldn't have checked out, on their own. Another thing I've felt like has been sort of missing is sort of like a sense of community. I realize this is my fault. This is my fault for sure. Because I've just kind of gone on hiatus because work got absolutely crazy once everything started to open back up, and my work schedule was nuts and my time management was very poor and just terrible. I didn't really give enough time to community, but I feel like talking about these things and then sharing these opinions with others and then them telling me things I should check out and them sharing things they might have experienced in a month. Back in the day when YouTube was kind of, really growing, one of my favorite things was watching video responses. Some of you might remember that, some of you might not. What was really cool about those is that, if someone made a video, you could then make a video responding to their video, talking about their video or what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. I like that. I think that's really cool. I don't know why they ever got rid of it. I think that's silly. Now, obviously, that capability of actually linking the videos directly in the parent video of whatever I make is really all but gone. That's been gone for years. I think there's a way to kind of accomplish that, and just hear me out on this and maybe let me know if this is a bit weird. So what my plan was is to use my already existing Discord server. Just go check the link. You should definitely join because we're going to do stuff like this. What I was thinking, we use the Discord. We set up a channel for the whole Monthly Experience. People can come in and talk about stuff they've watched or played or listened to. Anything they think that other people might like that's kind of hitting a sweet vibe for them. You could watch somebody else's video and you could find something that you might not have checked out by yourself because it's maybe not something that's in your wheelhouse. Then you find a new genre of stuff that you like. I always like finding new things to do and enjoy, and learning from other people is cool. So here's what I was thinking. Obviously, I publish this video. I make that new channel in the Discord server where we, talk about things we experienced during the month, things we think other people might like, that sort of thing. Now, another thing that might be cool, and this might be for some of you who are, having a little bit of trouble trying to find some sort of prompt to make new content. You could make just a video like this, talking about stuff you liked in the month. And then you just link it. And then what I think I could also do is just have like an entire Monthly Experience Club playlist. So there's my video, then there's another person's video and another person's video. And then you can go back and watch those things and learn some new stuff and find some new things you might want to check out. So it's sort of just like we're all sort of sharing things that we liked and just becoming much more experienced people, if you will. I'm going to use that pun like crazy. I'm hoping the explanation wasn't too long-winded because recording it has been a nightmare, but yeah, so that's sort of the idea. So that's kind of the goal of monthly experience. I want to talk about things I normally wouldn't cover on this channel, but you know, in a short form way. And then I can also encourage other people to check these things out, and then they can tell me about stuff they like. And then maybe at some point it might turn into like this weird, like cultural book club-esque thing where we pick something for the month and we all check it out and then talk about it. I don't know. That's a little far away. Let's start here. I make my video. We talk about things. You recommend some things to me. I recommend some things to you. You can make some videos. I'll make some videos. It'll be a great time. So let's get into it. Here's the first episode of Monthly Experience. So we're going to talk about books because I didn't read a whole ton. I really only read one thing, and that was Naruto. And you're probably thinking, what? How have you not read this? How have you not read one of the best-selling manga of Shonen Jump of all time? Now, here's the thing. Out of the big three, you know, manga, I'm a big Bleach guy. I think most people who know me personally are like, okay, you gotta shut the hell up about Bleach. No one cares about Bleach. I love Bleach. Bleach is great. I started reading One Piece. I've put One Piece to the side because One Piece takes a long time to get into, and you can always jump back into One Piece. It's not hard to get into. Naruto or Naruto, I don't know how you want to call it. Everybody won't shut the hell up about how great Naruto is. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll read it. So right now, I think, what chapter am I on? And this is a great thing. I'm going to promo this to all death, okay? Shonen Jump app. The Shonen Jump subscription, probably the best bang for your buck in terms of just like reading graphic novels, comic books, manga. $3 a month to read basically any Shonen Jump manga that comes out. You can read Chainsaw Man, you can read Dragon Ball, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, Demon Slayer. The only real restriction, you can only read 100 chapters in 24 hours, but that's a lot of chapters. That's like 2 years worth of somebody's work. That takes a lot to read in 24 hours. I did it once, and that was like definitely like a day where I actually had to physically sit down and read. So for $3 a month to read all that manga, probably the best value for what you're paying for. That's how I've been reading Naruto, and I'm on chapter 556 of 700. I'm pretty dang close to being done. Probably when I do the next episode of Monthly Experience, I can talk a little more about what I thought of the series, because really 140 chapters in a month is not terrible. That's doable, especially where there are only 20-page chapters. So far, I'm liking it. I don't really have the same kind of connection I did with something like Bleach or Death Note or, you know, other manga where I'm just like more attached to the characters. I do really like the characterization of obviously the main cast. And I do like the other shinobi of the Hidden Leaf Village. I think they're all really cool. I get the people like the Akatsuki, like I think their coats are cool. No, but I do find they do a really good job of characterization in Naruto. Now, I know some people are like really into the anime, and I get maybe that's a better way to watch it. I personally love reading manga, so I feel like it's a quicker way to get through things. And, you know, maybe at some point I could go watch Naruto or Shippuden, whatever. Also, if my pronunciations are off, I'm reading this, okay? Also, I can't enunciate to save my damn life. We're not going to give FalseProof too much grief about enunciation in the comments. But overall, I'm liking Naruto. I'm liking it. It's not like my favorite of all time, but I understand why people like it a lot, and I'm liking what I'm reading. So I'm definitely going to finish it next month, and I'll give some more thoughts then. Probably going to be some spoilers, so just watch out for that. Okay, let's talk about some games. Because I feel like that's 95% of the reason why you're here. No one's really here to hear me talk about Naruto, but you know, maybe that'll change as this goes on. Anyway, let's talk about something you've probably already seen me make a video about after my really long hiatus. Sorry about that. That's why we're trying to do something like this to make those gaps in time between videos just a little bit shorter. So, first game I really kind of played and finished in January. You saw the video. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. It's a remake of the PSP game. I talked a lot about it in the video. Go check it out if you haven't seen it already. I talk a lot more about it in the video, but to really give it a quick summary as a game, I like it a lot. I feel like there's some things they could have changed to make it a little more accessible, a little easier to get into and not so much of a slog, because, you know, you're taking a PSP game, turning it into a console title. There are some things you really need to change, and I don't feel like Square Enix did an amazing job of it, but it's still good. It's probably the best way to play Crisis Core, and honestly, I'll probably get the PC version at some point just to throw mods around. Maybe I'll get the Switch version, because I played it on PS4, but I'll get the Switch version just to have it in the collection. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a good Final Fantasy game. Playing Crisis Core also really made me want to go play some old Final Fantasy games. So I kind of jumped back into the original Final Fantasy VII. I want to kind of get myself prepped for whatever they're going to try and do with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the next remake game. Around the same time, Square Enix did their semi-annual sale where they discount everything for like 50% off. So I figured it was a good time to grab the 3D remake of Final Fantasy III. You know, a pretty simple game. It was originally on the DS. I still have that game somewhere in my collection somewhere, but it's good. It's good. You know, I like it. It's pretty simple. You know, it's nothing crazy to write home about. You're taking like an NES game, trying to turn it into like a real story. It's pretty simple, but you know, it's like a hug. These old Final Fantasy games are like a hug. You know, it's comforting. It's warming. You're not getting anything like super deep out of a hug, but it's comforting. And that's why I like it. So I'll probably play some more traditional Final Fantasy games just to, you know, tide me over while the weather's cold. It is some cold today, I'll tell you that. Friggin' today it's below freezing, and probably by the time tonight rolls around, as I'm recording this, it's gonna be at least minus 27 Celsius. I'm gonna die if I don't stay inside. And I'll put the little conversion there for you friggin' Americans with your imperial system. Oh my God. The next game I want to talk about, Harvestella. If you watch that Nintendo Direct where they just basically dumped 18 million farming sim games, you probably saw the same thing I did. And this is the one that I kind of was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Except for Fae Farm. That looks sick, because I wouldn't mind being a fairy doing some farming. Harvestella kind of does this like weird thing that Rune Factory does, where it combines a farming sim with a combat system. So it's like an action RPG farming sim. It's really fun. I like just playing it in general. It's kind of mindless though, because the story's kind of okay. It's serviceable. I think I literally wrote in my notes, the music is really good. Music is actually really, really good for like a farming sim game. The plot is all right. It's mindless. It's serviceable. It does what it needs to do. You're essentially trying to solve this plague called the Quietus. It's from the future. I don't know. At one point you show up, there's some guy in armor from the future, and you meet a unicorn in the forest. It's weird. There are some things I do like about it. They do allow the character to be non-binary, which I think, you know, very nice and progressive. We like that. We enjoy that. It makes things a lot more accessible, which is really cool. In terms of character customization, not a lot going on. It's really limited in choice. The gameplay mechanics for this game are really good. I do like the way they sort of organize the main menus. It's really easy to figure out what kind of skills you're missing, how your quests are organized, what quests you've played, which ones you've missed. They also do a really cool thing where you're going through some story stuff. They actually pause the in-game timer, so you're not having to miss out on growing crops or, you know, doing timed quests, which I do appreciate a lot. It's a really well-designed game. The story is just not great. You know, this is not ever going to win best story of the decade. You know what I mean? So overall, really fun. I'll probably just play it, but I'm not, you know, I'm not invested. Next, let's talk a little bit about Days Gone, because I kind of mentioned it earlier. Now, if you haven't played Days Gone, it's like a nice little Sony PlayStation exclusive. It's good. It's an open world zombie survival game. You're running around the wilderness of Oregon as this cool little biker drifter guy named Deacon St. John. He's cool. I'm not, like I said, same problem with Harvestella. I'm a little more into this story, and they're definitely trying to emphasize it a lot more. There's at least like some tension going on. You know, it's the end of the world. Not a whole ton going on with civilization, if there really is very much of it. Everyone's kind of high strung. There's a lot of underlying tension between all the characters because you don't know if you're going to die or turn into like an infected zombie swarmer, ripper, crazy looking thing. You know, at some point, you know, you're just trying to survive. You're trying to survive. And that's really all it is. I'm not like into it though. Like, I play this when I'm trying to watch a video or listen to an album or do something else. It's good because it keeps my brain kind of active and engaged, but I'm not like super into this story. Same problem I had with Harvestella. Honestly, it kind of makes me want to just try The Last of Us because of the similar, you know, Sony tries and does a post-apocalyptic game. And, you know, I've just heard so many good things about Last of Us. I still haven't played it. I did start watching the HBO show, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Days Gone, it's a good, like, the mechanics are good. I do like being able to craft stuff. It's really, and I also like having the little bike to run around on. I'm just not like super into the story just yet, but there's still a lot of it to go on. So we're going to see how that goes. I finally decided to sit down and actually beat the end game of Pokemon Violet, which, you know, is the whole Elite Four and then Area Zero and all that fun stuff. I didn't hate it. In general, I would say it's probably one of the better Pokemon games of the last decade in terms of story, because I liked the way they did the treasure hunt. I like the whole treasure hunt mechanic. I think it's cool that there's sort of 3 overarching timelines. It's kind of annoying that sometimes you do need to kind of jump to another star base before you do another gym or fight another Titan Pokemon. But eventually, you know, your legendary Pokemon, the one you ride around with on a bike, will eventually upgrade and do all sorts of cool flying tricks. So that sort of becomes less of a problem as you get through like the mid game. But yes, I thought in terms of story, it was probably one of the better ones of the decade. To give you like a bit of a point of reference, here's like all the Pokemon games in order of my personal preference of which ones I like the best. Gold and Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, Soul Silver is probably my favorite Pokemon game of all time. It's just great. It's like the best version of playing the Johto games for sure. After that is probably like Diamond and Pearl, Platinum, then maybe, you know, Red and Blue, Ruby, Sapphire, Black and White, and then, you know, right there, sort of in that mid tier is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Obviously, with all the releases they did between the end of 2021 and the end of 2022, you had 3 pretty big Pokemon releases with Shining Pearl, Brilliant Diamond, then you had Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then you had Scarlet and Violet, all within the span of a year. That's a lot of Pokemon. I feel like this game could have been held off. That's not me saying I don't appreciate having it now. I just feel like this could have been a launch title for the next Nintendo console. But so far, I've just kind of been enjoying my time in Pokemon Violet. I'll probably go and complete the Pokedex at some point. I don't know. And then maybe I'll do a Nuzlocke for Pokemon Scarlet once they release the Pokemon Bank compatibility with the game, because I know I'm going to lose because I tried to Nuzlocke Pokemon Violet and it did not go well. So if I'm going to catch some Pokemon that are like decent in Pokemon Scarlet when I do that Nuzlocke, I want to be able to keep them if I lose the dang Nuzlocke. So Pokemon Violet, great game. Still not great. It's still not super well optimized. There are frame drops all over the place. The graphics are all sorts of crazy. The animations are not amazing. But it's still a fun Pokemon game if you can get past that, for sure. Let's talk about some TV shows that I've been watching lately, and there has actually been a few this month. I've been surprised at how much new content I've actually watched in the last month. That's a nice thing about this series. Like, it makes me want to try new things so I can tell you about it. It's cool like that. So to start off, we're going to be talking about this show called Lookism. It's an animated Korean show. It's based on a webtoon. It's on Netflix. And it's kind of interesting. There's this main character. His name is Park Kyung-suk. That's how they say it in the English dub. Again, enunciation, not my strong style. Basically, he's, you know, a larger dude who gets picked on a lot because of his size. He's a very reserved guy. He's not exactly the most confident dude on the playground. And, you know, there are bigger guys who are definitely picking up on that, and they're, you know, bullying him pretty severely to the point where he transfers into a vocational school. He gets signed up for fashion studies, which is very interesting. And then through the power of mystical, magical, whatever the heck, he gets his own hot dude looking body, and he can switch from body to body. Like it's a very weird show. I like it. Like, I think it's cool. It sort of shows a dichotomy between how people will treat you based on appearance. I think the element of him being in a fashion class also really reinforces that idea of outward appearance versus inner personality. I haven't finished the show yet. They just got to this weird talent show arc where Park Young-suk just like busts into this giant, amazing solo singing thing. It gets weird, but I'm interested. I probably will read the webtoon, so I'll give some more thoughts next month. I'll probably finish the series and then start reading the webtoon, and I'll have a little more to talk about. But I think it's a good way to, you know, talk about how physical appearance really isn't the end-all be-all. And I can tell you that from my big giant 5 head you're looking at right here. I can tell you that. So yeah, no, it's a good show. If you got Netflix, go check it out. I think you'll like it if you kind of like slice of life type stuff. Next up, we got something a little more, what is the word I want to use here? Something a little more out there, if you can believe that. If you thought switching bodies was one thing, imagine, if you will, a body trapped inside of a body, trapped inside of a body, trapped inside of a body, and then you are pulling away at the skin to find that first body. That's the plot of one of the short stories of Junji Ito's Maniac, or better known to some as Japanese Tales of the Macabre. Ito is one of those horror manga artists who really likes to push the boundaries of what the human mind can think of. It takes a lot of, you know, Japanese occult stuff and sort of makes it into like some pretty shocking stuff. I was honestly playing Pokemon watching this. My fiance came into the room. She's like, "This looks weird. Why are you watching this?" And I said, "This is interesting. Come watch it with me." And there were a couple times where I think we were both rendered speechless by some of these episodes, because it is super fun and very gory. Very gory. I would not recommend this ride if you're not a person who can stomach gore. I think it's a good way to say it. A lot of the episodes are kind of broken up into these little short stories. Some of them are based on some of Ito's earlier mangas, like Tomie. And, you know, it's a good way to sort of introduce people to the horror side of manga and anime. You know, if you like some of those like slasher thriller type things, I think you'll like this anime a lot. And, you know, not all of it is really gory. Some of it kind of makes you think a lot. And some of them are a little more nuanced, and some of them are a little weirder. A couple episodes I think you might enjoy if you kind of like a little more thought process into the, you know, the supernatural. Four Walls is a good one. The episodes are also kind of broken up into chunks, so it's like 2 short stories in one 22-minute episode. There is one story that takes up an entire 22-minute episode. That is Toontown. I definitely recommend checking that out. Just even, you can really jump around these episodes if you want. You don't have to watch it in order, but if you want to just check out one episode, I definitely recommend watching Toontown. It's an interesting way to talk about the afterlife and death, but, you know, it's cool if you can, you know, if you can take the visual style of it. I think it's a good way to put it. But yes, I like it a lot, and I'll probably revisit it at some point, just, you know, just to watch it again, because I liked it. The next show I want to talk about, a little more live action. It's a sequel show, and it's probably the only one that's got a laugh track out of all of these ones. It's that 90s show. We love that 70s show around here. I don't know, I like it a lot. My fiance likes it a lot. And this one was definitely an anticipated one in our household in terms of like how they sort of set up these like sequel sitcoms, you know, like your Girl Meets World. There's lots of expectations of what the original show did, and that gets underwhelmed by whatever they're trying with this new show. You know what I mean? With that 90s show, you can tell it's not the same, but they're giving it a fair shot. You know, it's Eric and Donna's kid. Her name's Leia because Eric's just like a giant Star Wars head. She goes back to Point Place to live with Red and Kitty for the summer. She makes her new group of friends. They throw a kegger. Well, they don't really throw a kegger. I think they just drink beer in the basement. They smoke weed. They do it all. It's basically that 70s show in the 90s. I think the creators of that 70s show realized just how bad that 80s show bombed. just in general. So really, there's obviously a very direct connection with the cast of That 70s Show. Everybody comes back, and there are some cool cameos, like Tommy Chong comes back as Leo, which is pretty sick. And you know, it's kind of fun to see how these new characters interact with these older characters we have a connection with. It's a good sitcom. Is it a little like 2010s, like got that sheen on it a little bit, but it's like, it's good. I still liked it. It's probably not as amazing as That 70s Show, but that show even took a little bit to get into in terms of characterization and storyline development. So I feel like Netflix is going to give this one a good shot. This is another Netflix exclusive. I don't understand in what universe they decided this was going to work in territories outside of the US, because you can't watch That 70s Show, at least not for me in Canada. I can't watch it on Netflix anymore. They just completely got rid of it when Peacock took the rights over. So for some reason, Netflix just didn't renew the rights for That 70s Show, which I feel like is kind of weird. If you're gonna make a sequel show that you financed and produced yourselves, but you're not gonna pay for the rights for the original stuff. I don't know. It's a little weird. There may be some legal reasons for that. I'm gonna keep that very brief, and you can look that up yourself, because the internet is a vast place with lots of information. But yes, go check out That Naughty Show if you liked That 70s Show. So I think we got to the big kicker, probably the reason why you clicked on the gosh darn video, and that is HBO's adaptation of The Last of Us. Everybody's seen it. Watch it if you haven't. This is probably the best show out of everything I watched this month. We're really only 3 episodes deep as I'm recording this. I've watched all 3 episodes, and they've all been pretty damn good. There's a reason why it's the highest rated HBO show of all time. They opened it up really well. They explained, you know, the parasitic growth of the entire infected population, how it all sort of originates. The first 2 episodes really kind of set up a lot of the world building. They establish how the virus kind of originates in a factory in Indonesia and then eventually spreads across the world. So you kind of start to get into it. You can tell there's like a lot. They're really unwrapping, you know, a present. There's like something underlying here they're establishing, which HBO does a really good job of doing. The first 2 episodes take it's a little bit of time. It can be slow at times. 3rd episode, it hits. That 3rd episode of Last of Us, oh my God. If you don't like the 3rd episode of The Last of Us on HBO, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think you're going to like this show, because the 3rd episode was amazing. I cried. I don't cry a lot at TV. I don't cry very much at TV, but I cried. It's a really nice, touching story. Nick Offerman, who is pretty much now solidified for me as like a GOAT actor, greatest of all time, just by his versatility. I liked him a lot in Parks and Rec. I like him a lot in Great North, and just him as Bill in this show, fantastic. He builds his own little compound. He isolates himself from the world. Then he meets another survivor named Frank, and then you see their relationship develop. And that's sort of the crux of the episode. You see their relationship develop, and then how they interact with Joel and his partner Tess. And then you sort of see that time jump from where they get introduced to the present day with Joel and Ellie. It's just awesome. It's probably one of my favorite episodes of an HBO show of all time. It's the best episode of The Last of Us by far. It's good. It is really, really good. If you like the HBO style of shows, you're going to like this. Regardless of how you feel about post-apocalyptic shows, you'll like this show. So that's it for this episode of Monthly Experience. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bit of a different type of content that you're probably used to seeing on this channel, but you know, it's pretty cool. I liked it. I had fun recording it, even though it took me quite a lot of time. Here's some of the stuff I'm probably going to check out this month. Some of the notable ones being me deciding if I'm going to buy Octopath Traveler 2 or the new Fire Emblem. Somehow I still haven't played that. I was trying to get the Divine Edition and that didn't work out. So I don't know if I'm going to get Fire Emblem Engage at some point, or if I'm going to go with Octopath. In terms of like reading comics, I started another Shonen Jump manga, Romantic Killer. It's pretty good, pretty sweet. I've also started getting back into The Boys, pretty good, you know, graphic novel series. I really like the Amazon Prime series, so I decided to start reading it. very, very different from the show. If you thought the show was really dark, the comics take it to a new freaking level, man. It's pretty crazy. Oh, one last thing. If you like pop punk, and this is going to be my music recommendation for this episode, you should go check out Action Adventure. Their new album Imposter Syndrome just dropped. I think it's their first full length. It's really good. The production value is, they know how to make a couple of good tunes. So go check out Imposter Syndrome by Action Adventure. That is going to be it for this time. Thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode of Monthly Experience. Go join the Discord server and come talk to me about some stuff you checked out this month. And maybe we'll make ourselves a nice little experience club, and we can all share some stuff and become more worldly experienced people together. I'm FalseProof. I'll see you next time. Later.